Hi, I'm Steve Ledoux, Town Manager here in Acton, and this is the show Acton Agenda. And we're here to talk about items that will be in front of the Board of Selectmen at their upcoming meeting on December 19th, which will be at 7 p.m. in room 204 of Town Hall. With me today is Peter Berry. Peter is Chair of the Board of Selectmen, and we're here to talk about some of the agenda items. So welcome, Peter, and happy to have you on the show.
And good evening to everyone. Going through the agenda for Monday night, the first item the selectmen will be discussing will be a proposal to install a solar carport at the South Acton train station. If you're not familiar with solar carports, there are several areas around us that they've been installed. I know the Concord Carlisle High School or Lincoln Sudbury High School actually in Sudbury has carports in their parking lot where the cars park underneath these solar arrays, and they're raised 15 feet or so into the air to capture the sun energy. Our town engineer, Corey York, happened to be out at Railroad Street, which is the small parking lot at the train station just off of Main Street, where the town leases that lot for $1 a year from the MBTA. The property is actually owned by the MBTA, and we maintain it. The town maintains it, but the T actually owns the property. There was a contractor out there who Corey York met at the time, who was surveying the property to build a solar array on the Railroad Street parking lot for the MBTA. We have not been in touch with the T. Our speculation is that the Financial Control Board or other entities at the T came up with a plan to install solar arrays on carports on parking lots that T owns in order to increase their revenue. As we all know, they're very strapped for cash. Apparently there are 30-some pieces of MBTA-owned parking lots that are slated to have these solar arrays placed on them. Corey had a discussion with the contractor. He indicated that the T would apparently get income from leasing the property. The contractor would then control the energy credits, which are sold on the market to other entities that need energy and need to provide under state law a certain, for instance, the power stations need to provide a certain amount of energy that comes from green energy, so they buy up these credits. He indicated that those credits could be available to the town. We don't know that much about it at this point. This is simply an initial discussion by the selectmen to talk the issue over and try to get some direction to the town about whether to pursue this or not, or how to pursue it. There are major concerns about Railroad Street parking lot because it's located very close to the South Acton Historic District. Can be seen from the Jones Tavern, which is an important part of the historic district. These would be very visually invasive solar panels, some 15 feet in the air. Although it's depressed a little, they'd be as high as the Jones Tavern, which is raised up, and the historic post office building that's next to Jones Tavern. So there are serious historic issues with solar array on that piece of land. At the same time, Corey York had a discussion with the contractor about possibly doing a solar array on the town-owned parking lot. In an unusual situation, as I understand it, the town actually owns the parking lot located next to the T station. The T owns most of their parking lots that are adjacent to their facilities, but at the time, I think when that station was first built, the town, the state deeded the property to the town, so we maintain it. We get all the revenues from the parking fees on the main parking lot, which is obviously off Central Street. The contractor indicated that he could build a solar array on that site as well, and maybe do repairs to the parking lot, which the town is considering, which would be expensive and probably would come out of the parking lot fund, which is generated by the revenues from the meters. So that's an attraction to the town, much less intrusive to the historic district. It's my understanding that the historic entities in town would not have as much of an objection, or any objection maybe, to the solar array on the parking lot. There'll certainly be a lot of other input from neighbors, residents, other people interested in the issue. There are engineering issues about plowing, which the town, since we own the main lot, obviously we have to maintain and plow that as well. Whether we might lose spaces if a solar array is installed there. One advantage would be that the lighting, which does not now meet town standards, which was originally put in there at the main lot and is slated to be replaced sometime not too distant future, could be placed as part of the solar array, which would eliminate the cost of the town replacing the lighting in the main lot. So there are a lot of issues. Again, this is a beginning discussion. If you tune in Monday night, you can follow the selectmen's discussion. Starts at 7:10 on this issue. And we're going to try to figure out what direction we should give the town to pursue both of those possible solar carports. I'll skip over the budget presentation briefly and let Steve Ledoux address that issue, but the only other item outside the consent agenda on the selectmen's business is the West Acton Sewer Committee charge. We did get a feasibility study finalized a few months ago that determined, the engineers determined that the sewers were feasible to extend to West Acton, proposed a layout for a separate sewer district, expanded sewer district for West Acton. Still would tie into the treatment plant down on Adams Street in South Acton. And so there'd be pump stations and other facilities that would have to be included in that. There's lots of questions about that, about what neighborhoods would actually be tied in, whether the schools, Gates and Douglas, would get tied in. So we put together a sewer committee to study that in West Acton. The makeup and charge is included on the backup to the selectmen's agenda, which is on town line, which is online on the town website. And there are various representatives from the community in West Acton and other finance and planning entities in town. So we'll be voting on that charge and move that forward. This has some interaction with the Capital Improvement Committee that the town and schools have put together to study future needs for both the schools and the town. And although this charge, if the sewers were to be built in West Acton, it presumably would be the same concept that is in the current Fort Brook Sewer District, where the users of the system pay for the system. It's not spread town-wide, so it would just be if that happens, the town meeting has the ability to decide who actually pays for it, whether it's just the users or it's spread over the entire town. But assuming that would happen, it would just be the users of the system in West Acton that would have to pay the cost for that, in addition to betterment fees. So there are a lot of questions, and this committee is put together to try to get input from the public and citizens, and give the town some feedback on moving forward or not with the West Acton Sewer District. So I will go through the consent agenda also, but let me turn now back to Steve Ledoux, who will be presenting the fiscal year 18 town budget on Monday night.
Thanks, Peter. And it's always a big night for me because it's one of the most important things I think we work on as a town is the operating budget for the municipality. Under the town charter, the town manager is required to present a recommended budget 100 days before town meeting. And the way I look at it, it's like 100 days doesn't seem like a lot, and that means we're 100 days away from warmer weather, I think, because the town meeting's early April. So I have I have to present a budget 100 days before town meeting. Selectmen get to review that budget. We have a what we call a budget Saturday that I think is scheduled for January 7th, where it's an all-day affair where departments can answer questions and go through the detail of their budgets. Then the selectmen under the town charter have to vote a recommended budget which is submitted to the Finance Committee by 60 days prior to town meeting, so very, very early February. So we've been, typically we commence working on the budget in September. We have a 2-day budget retreat with all department heads in early October where we kind of drill down into their budgets and look at any new requests that they have. And then I have a budget team that I work with that we kind of kick around how we're going to resolve some budget issues, and we meet every Thursday all day to kind of devote attention to the proposed budget. Our goal is really to try to develop what we call a level service budget, really meaning that really not any new initiatives, but just trying to maintain what we have and just try to keep the town moving forward with the services that we provide. So we're still, here it is, it's the Friday, December 16th, and we're still putting final touches on the budget, but I can talk a little about some of the things that we will be presenting to the board Monday night as components of the recommended FY18 budget. First of all, we continue to contribute to what we call OPEB. That's the other post-employment benefits, and that's a kind of unfunded liability is what we would call it, and that's really the future cost of health insurance for our employees who will retire in the future. We have been, over the last few years, putting $600,000 a year towards that unfunded liability, and based on our last estimate by our actuarial firm, we'll be probably fully funded if we keep that level up in about 20 years, which is really good. A lot of communities haven't addressed this issue, and we're really in one of the forefronts of dealing with OPEB. Secondly, we're going to continue with tax relief. We've set aside about $200,000 to help seniors with their property taxes, and it's a program that the Board of Assessors run. We have a land purchase, very small land purchase that will be included in the budget. It's the purchase of 516 Massachusetts Avenue in West Acton. It's a small parcel, kind of across from where True West and that new development is. The proposal would be to add some parking spaces. The estimated cost is $35,000, and we've been working with the owner of that property over the last few months to move towards acquisition. We're also looking at a bike lane rail trail study, which would determine how can we link our two different bike trails together with signage and bike lanes on town roads. Because the Assabet River Rail Trail starts at Hudson, ends at the South Acton train station. The Bruce Freeman Rail Trail ultimately will start in Framingham and ends in Lowell. So if somebody wants to, for example, ride up from Stowe or whatever, and they want to keep going and hook up to Bruce Freeman, how do we direct them? How do we set that up? So that study's part of the budget. We also want to look at the intersection of Prospect Street and Main Street. It's very confusing. Have 2 or 3 different access areas, a lot of accidents. So we want to improve that traffic safety issue as well. Then we have some kind of usual replacement of equipment. There's a dump truck and natural resources that's scheduled for replacement. A fire engine, engine 23 for the fire department. That's about $700,000 that we'll be looking at. A couple really big capital items that will be incorporated in the budget is replacement of a portion of the Memorial Library roof and the heating and cooling system that's on top of that. There's actually a flat portion of the Memorial Library roof that you can't really see because it's kind of between the two peaks. It's kind of a valley, and that has caused a lot of leakage in the library, particularly in the spring when the snow is melting. So it's a big project. It's about $1,200,000, and that we have a request for that within the operational budget. Also looking at the 3 fire stations and how we can improve some of the heating and ventilation there, looking at what is known as mini split systems, primarily up in the living quarters of the three stations, to try to make that a little more comfortable while we try to determine where we're going with the fire department, particularly in North Acton. Also looking at purchasing what is known as a utility terrain vehicle, which is a small vehicle that could actually go on the rail trails in case we need to do some kind of emergency medical issue as well. And also thinking about adding a position that what we were calling a craftsperson, somebody who can do some carpentry work, et cetera, throughout the town on our town buildings. Our town buildings continue to grow, and we've determined that paying contractors and paying what is known as prevailing wage rate, a craftsperson could be a more cost-effective way of doing that. We also have some budget pressures that we kind of have to incorporate in the FY18 budget. The fall town meeting authorized the lease of 30 Sudbury Road for both the senior center and some of our human resource departments. That is going to add about $250,000 to the town budget, which includes the rent plus utility costs. And also looking at some form of general fund subsidy for the ambulance enterprise fund. Our ambulance fund, we are gearing up to go to advanced life support, which is paramedic service. But for the current fiscal year, we'd had a real downturn in our revenues, I think primarily because we lose revenues when paramedic service through SMERA, which is the organization that provides paramedic service. When they answer a call, we don't get any of that revenue. So we've had a kind of a downtick in revenues, and plus we're gearing up to do it ourselves. So you know, those are between those two pressures. If that's added probably close to 1.5% on the operational budget. So those are some of the pressures we're dealing with. We'll go through all of this in more detail on Monday evening, but you know, that will commence what I call budget season, and once again we'll have a full day of budget review on January 7th with the Board of Selectmen and the Finance Committee, and ultimately the Selectmen will have to vote a recommended budget in early February. So that's kind of a very quick Cliff Note version, so to speak, of the budget. And as I said, we're still tweaking a few things before Monday night.
Well, thank you, Steve. If you don't know, our town has a group called the Acton Leadership Group, which has representatives from what is now the Regional School District and the town's Finance Committee and the Board of Selectmen that work together to try to resolve differences in the budgets as recommended by the Finance Committee in terms of percentage increases and the actual increases that the town and the schools feel they need to continue to provide services. And I think that will be a challenge this year, given the differences between the FinCom's point of view and where I'm hearing the town and the schools are going to come in with proposed increases. But that process is very important. The communication between those three groups is important. We've worked by consensus always in the past, been able to reach consensus between the town and the schools, trying to reduce proposed budgets as much as possible, and the FinCom understanding that certain increases are beyond what they might ideally desire might be necessary. So that process goes on. That committee meets once every month to try to resolve budget issues. So, and
actually, I think, just if I interject for a second, Peter, I think one of the interesting things about the Acton Leadership Group is ultimately we will work things out, and we'll go to town meeting with the three major boards in lockstep with each other. And we do actually, in January and February, meet twice a month, since that's kind of the heavy budget period, so to speak.
Okay, that's been the traditional history of that group. Again, a very important group a lot of towns don't have, and that communication is extremely critical, and I'm confident that we'll be able to come to consensus this year on the fiscal 18 budget as well. So moving on now to the budget, again back to the agenda. The remaining items on the agenda are all under consent, where we vote as a a group of items of our articles together, unless one of the selectmen decides to remove it from consent. It has a particular issue about it, so we'll see Monday night about that. But they include a request to dispose of obsolete material from the Memorial Library. That is always on the consent agenda. Books that are outdated and have reached their useful shelf life. Request to dispose of surplus and obsolete equipment from information technology. The selectmen just have to legally approve disposal of obsolete equipment. Committee appointment of Allison Casaza to the Historic District Commission. A request for a waiver of fees from the Recreation Department for the Relay for Life. That is a fundraiser that I believe the high school students run every year in town, where it's for cancer research. They do a walkathon, I think, out at Nara Park in North Acton, where they solicit contributions for walking a certain distance. I think it goes on for 24 hours or something like that. The Recreation Department usually gets a fee for rentals for Nara Park for functions there. They're asking to waive that fee. The Recreation Department is set up as a revolving fund, so that their personnel and all the costs of running the Recreation Department are paid for out of fees they collect from all the activities that they support in town. So there should be no impact on the town budget for waiving those fees. That has been done every year in the past. So there's a request for extension of operating hours on December 31st on New Year's Eve for the True West restaurant on 2A. That we've had several other of those requests.
It's on 111, actually.
I'm sorry, 111? Oh,
Yeah.
True West is in West Acton. Okay. I was thinking of another restaurant, but okay. So typically on New Year's Eve, the restaurants like to stay open past midnight, which is the normal closing time. So we, as selectmen, generally have no issues with those requests. We get a request to attend an Eagle Scout Court of Honor for Michael Gesowitz and Justin Vingehout on January 21st, 2017. Selectman Green will be attending that and expressing the regards and congratulations and thanks of the Board of Selectmen for their contributions and their attaining the rank of Eagle Scout. And finally, there's a purchase and sale agreement for 53 River Street. That's a piece of property that the fall town meeting authorized purchasing on River Street, the old mill, and now being used by Lazaro Paving Company. The lawyers have finished drafting the purchase and sale agreement and worked out the language with the owner. It will have a provision that the town is able to void the agreement once we do a site survey and determine whether there are any hazardous materials that need to be removed on the site. It has been used for an asphalt paving company, so we need to do that site study to determine if there are any significant costs we're not aware of that might be related to cleaning up hazardous materials. And if that turns out to be, we will be able to renegotiate the purchase and sale agreement or get out of the purchase if it's that significant of an issue. So selectmen's reports about activities of selectmen are included online as part of the backup to the agenda. And I believe that covers the entire agenda that we will be considering on Monday night. You can tune in to Actontv, and we are televised live starting at 7 o'clock on channel 99 on Comcast. I'm not sure what it is if you have Verizon. And we have a number and an email that you can use to send any questions you might have to the Board of Selectmen that we could respond to on the next Acton agenda. So that I see is now up on the, there's an email and a tweet address you can use to send us questions, which we can respond to at the next televised Acton agenda. So thank you very much.
Okay. And thank you, Peter. And once again, thank you for watching Acton Agenda. This is our last meeting of 2016, our last show, I should say. So happy holidays and happy New Year for everybody. Our next Selectmen's meeting will be January 9th. So we'll be doing a show just prior to that to talk about the January 9th issues. So once again, next Selectmen's meeting is December 19th, 7 p.m. at Town Hall, room 204. And thank you for watching.